General Petraeus, as you know, I continue to be very angry about the role that Iran is playing in training and equipping Shia extremists who are coming into Iraq and are responsible for the murder of hundreds of American soldiers and thousands of Iraqi soldiers and citizens. I wanted to ask you, I know you share that view, of course, I wanted to ask you what the current state, to the best of your knowledge, is of Iranian support of these special groups and others in Iraq.
Well, Senator, first of all, we know that it continued well after Iran's most senior leaders made promises to Iraq's most senior leaders that they would stop the training, funding, arming, and directing of the so-called special group leaders and elements, and also support for the militia. We know that because we have detained individuals who were recipients of that training, funding, and arming. They have explained in great detail the process for that. As you know, we had previously captured the deputy commander of Lebanese Hezbollah Department 2800, which was created to support this effort and to use the lessons that they had learned with Lebanese Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. We know from having captured and from Iraqi troops having captured massive weapons caches in Basra, some of which bear markings that denote that they were made in January or February of 2008, some which contain fuses made only in Iran, others which followed a chain to get to Iran and then into the hands of the special groups from Syria through Lebanese Hezbollah, in the case of RPG-29s. This is all very clear. It's evidence. It's not supposition. We have laid this out for Iraqi leaders in the past. We're going to do it with an update, again, with their intelligence agencies as well. Their leaders have laid it out for the public in Iraq. And frankly, it has galvanized a degree of opposition, resentment, and so forth by a government that views that it's a sovereign government of a sovereign country that is being interfered with by its neighbor to the east, a neighbor that should, by rights, want to see it succeed, to see a Shia-led government in Iraq succeed, given that Iran is also Shia. Given the common interests they have, the commercial interests, economic interests, religious tourism, with Najaf and Karbala being in Iraq and so forth. Delegations have recently gone to Iran and shared the concerns of the Iraqi government. It is our hope that this will lead to some change in the activities, that there will be a recognition that this has been very destabilizing, that it has challenged again the sovereignty and the government of Prime Minister Maliki. And we are looking for signs of that, frankly. We know, though, that a number of the special group leaders have gone back to Iran. That's where they are seeking refuge, as they have been put under pressure in first Basra, then other areas in the southern provinces, and now in Sadr City. And over time, again, it is our hope that those two countries, which will always be neighbors of each other, right, can reach an understanding that the kind of lethal activities that have been undertaken in recent years are not in the interests of either country.
I appreciate your answer. I think the most significant part of it, I mean, the most disappointing part, of course, is the Iranians are still doing what they've been doing, resulting in deaths of Americans in Iraq. But the most significant part is that Prime Minister Maliki is now, from what you've said, recognizing that this is not only an attack on us, it's an attack on the sovereignty of Iraq, and is asserting that with the Iranians, and we can only hope that it draws a response. In the time I have left, I want to ask you something else about Prime Minister Maliki. When you were here for the committee 6 weeks ago, the offensive the Prime Minister initiated and ordered in Basra had just begun, and there was a sense then widely shared here in Congress and in the public that the offensive had failed, that it was further proof of the inadequacy of Iraqi security forces, that Sadr was the winner, that Maliki was the loser, and obviously it looks a lot different 6 weeks later. Give us your own sense of what the status of on the ground is in Basra now, and what it says about the ISF, Maliki, and the extremists in the south of Iraq.
Well, Senator, you're correct that the Operation Basra did have a shaky start, but it has since had seen enormous progress that have produced very positive tactical and strategic results. The tactical results are the return of control to legitimate security forces in Basra, something for which the Basrawis, the people of that city and province, are quite grateful and they're pleased about. The Iraqi security forces, again, after that shaky start, very much stiffened. They were reinforced by 2 additional brigades brought down from Anbar province. By the way, our support here has been nothing more than transition teams, the so-called advisor teams, with their conventional and special operations forces, and the provision of enablers, ISR, TAC helicopter teams on occasion, and so forth. They have continued to expand their areas of control. They conducted operations this past week some 50 or 60 kilometers north of Basra city, in Al-Qurna, by the way, where the 2 rivers come together, and the parent site of the Garden of Eden, according to some historians, and then even turned left and have now gone 20 or so kilometers in another direction. This is moving up towards Maysan province and the marshes and the city of Amara, where there have also been some operations by Iraqi forces after quite a long absence there as well. On the strategic side, this has all been important because there has been a degree of support for Prime Minister Maliki in the subsequent period that is unparalleled during the time that Ambassador Crocker and I have been in Iraq. It appears that the Sunni coalition will return to government. Touch wood on that, but that does look likely. The level of Kurdish support from the 2 senior Kurdish leaders is much solidified. And Prime Minister Maliki then demonstrated that he's willing to go after al-Qaeda as well, with Iraqi forces in a very substantial offensive launched in Mosul, which is one that took place after about 3 months of very careful condition setting of the establishment of the infrastructure, combat outposts, joint security stations, the intelligence baseline, and all the rest of that logistical stockpiling. And that operation is also off to a good start tactically. We'll have to see over time, because al-Qaeda will try to come back and try to regenerate, but they have also launched operations on the so-called rat lines, along which foreign fighters enter Iraq from Syria, and that's a very important development as well. The result is, as I mentioned in my opening statement, that last week's level of incidents was the lowest in over 4 years, and this week's is even significantly lower. And it's a result of these different operations, plus now Sadr City. Meanwhile, in the Council of Representatives, the focus on the provincial elections law has been good. And as I mentioned, we hope to see a vote on that in the next week or so, having had its second reading. And then they can start to focus, we believe, on the hydrocarbon law package, on which there has been much greater coordination between the different factions as well already, and there are new prospects for progress there that were not at all seen prior to the operation in Basra. So it's had a political impact that is very significant, in addition to the tactical military progress that has been made there.
Thank you for that very encouraging report, which I find nothing short of thrilling. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.